March 25th, 2019, coming from Independence, Missouri. How you doing, guys? What we're going to talk about tonight is what to look for if you're buying a used car here in Kansas City. Because it's really hard to find anybody individual anymore. A lot of these little used car lots and junkyards have monopolized on everything to where nobody can actually go out and buy a car from an individual hardly anymore. They go out and they tell them, they buy the cars from them if they're not running, or say they're elderly people, and then they give them $100 for a car and they're making a lot more than that off of them, $2,000-$3,000. They have people out here that will they're going to take them back, strip the vehicles down at their homes. Then they take them to the junkyards, and then the engines, the transmissions, they get, $200, $150 a piece of a tranny or engine, say on a normal, 4-cylinder car. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is one thing you don't want to do. If you go to buy a car from anybody, individual-wise, you want to do a combustion test on it, chamber test on the radiator, on the engine itself. What this does, it's just kind of like a piece of rubber with a tube that comes up here, and you put a chemical in it, and if there's any gas, exhaust gas, it's coming up in this right here, it's going to turn a different color. I believe it turns yellow, I believe. That's what it is. Some of them might have different indicators. But you don't want to buy, you want to spend that money, either have a mechanic look at it and run that test. Now, I'm not talking about pressure testing the radiator or the cap. I'm talking about doing a combustion test with this. It's a chemical reaction. It's going to show if there's anything leaking in here, it's coming up in here. That's really important. Now, I bought this car about 2 years ago. I was going to give it to my son, but it actually has a blown head gasket. Now, luckily, the head gasket on this car is blown on the hot side. And that means it's leaking just in one spot up by where the exhaust is at. So none of it's getting down into the piston. None of it's getting down into the pan, oil pan, or anything like that. But there becomes a problem. Now, this engine would quit if I didn't do one thing. I don't have to go very far, usually no more than a 30-minute drive. You have to let the engine cool off, but this ain't going to suck the antifreeze back out of this tank then, because it's leaking. There's no pressure, okay? So, the thing of this is, every time I stop, after driving about 30 minutes and it cools, I have to take this and dump the antifreeze back in here. Now, the thing of this is, while I'm telling you about this, is you don't want to end up in that kind of problem, but you don't want to end up also in an engine. It's actually got a regular head gasket that's leaking into the oil, into the cylinder, into the pistons. That antifreeze will go, it's like BBs. It will actually eat through that piston. It can actually score basically down there on your crankshaft and everything else. Antifreeze mixes with that oil, you're pretty much done. Now, you can get online, you look at these cars, and you see these people say, oh, well, my car overheated a little bit. Well, the thing of it is, these cars, they overheat. Depending on how they overheat, if the head could be warped on it by that time. And without checking that, you don't want to purchase that vehicle. Now, Walmart, I believe, has the test kit for $68. I went up to O'Reilly's to see if O'Reilly's, I guess, don't have a test kit. I went up there and talked to 3 different people at O'Reilly's, and they said they couldn't find it on their computer. That's up here on 40 Highway. But I just thought you guys would want to know this. And see, the thing of it is, I'm still looking for a car for my son. And a lot of these small car lots are working with also, say, your salvage places. And the thing of it is, they're buying cars up from like elderly people, stuff like that. So say the kids, or say poor people, or even middle class people don't have a chance to find a $1,500 or $2,000 car anymore. No, they want you to go spend $6,000 minimum, and then you might still get a piece of junk. So the thing of it is, this I've actually bought from an individual about 70 miles from here, older couple. they did buy this car new. And the thing of it is, I've been driving it for a long time. And I gave only $900 for it. And it's still running strong the way it is right now. I had changed all the fluid levels on even the power steering. I had done it for my son before I found out that this had a blown head gasket actually on the hot side. Now, I'm starting to look again. And guess what? I'm still going through the same thing. I called tonight out in Olathe, and there was this red Cavalier. Now, it was about $900, they said. Engine, transmission good, inside was kind of raggedy. Well, you know, for that, you can put another $1,000 in a car and kind of beef it up a little bit. Well, I thought, well, maybe I get lucky and maybe it'd be an individual. Nope. Another bunch working on cars, repairing them out of their home. And, you know, I think there should be a law against this with the dealers having people work at their homes and then dealing like that. Because, I mean, that shouldn't be right. I mean, it's one thing if they're buying the cars at the car dealership, after repairing them, or selling them for scrap, that's one thing. But they shouldn't have people working all over the city here, picking cars up and doing that. I mean, that should be illegal here. Definitely. That's wrong. Because I watch them here in Independence. There's several here in this area, here in Independence where I live. And, I mean, the thing of it is they go night and day. And they strip these cars down. They come in trailers. It ain't just here, but it's everywhere. Because like when me and my son went like up into Raytown even. We went to this one lady's. They said, oh, I just only had it a week. Well, they had a trailer sitting in their driveway. You wouldn't believe how many of these people had trailers, car trailers, sitting in their driveway. Well, they're working for these used car lots and other bigger car lots too. And that takes out the little guy. That takes out the middle class, the poor people, the kids who want a car, you know, 16 or over and out of high school. I mean, that don't even give them a chance. They're supposed to come up with $6,000 right off the bat. See, that's BS, guys. But one thing I wanted to make this video tonight, because the thing of it is, I want you guys to know, do not buy any used car unless you go to a mechanic, have one of those combustion tests done. Either that or buy the test kit, like I say at Walmart. I think they're like about $6 to $8. Well worth it. Because you could be talking from $2,000 to $6,000 if you have to have a head gasket replaced. So $68 is nothing to make sure that everything's going to be okay. So just a short little video. FYI, do not buy any cars in Kansas City around here unless you have a test done on it. Definitely, and like I say, if you can't do it yourself, take it to a reputable mechanic and have them check that. Now, like I say, it's not a pressure test to the cap or the radiator. It basically checks for the emissions coming up through into the antifreeze itself, and will turn the chemical a different color. So then you know if it's got a basically blown head gasket. Anyway, guys, just some FYI for tonight. Have a good one.